Hello and welcome to the Fantasy Life Show. Happy Labor Day. Happy Monday, everybody. Week 1 is here. What a time to be alive. So to celebrate this joyous occasion, myself and none other than Dwain, The Rock McFarland, are drafting, baby. DraftKings Best Ball, $1.5 million on the line. And no, we are not friends. Today, Dwain, we are going to duel in a battle of best ball. It's a great day to be great.
Yeah, I just feel bad because there's already like 880,000 people that have drafted. Oh. Yeah, I feel bad because there's already like 880,000 people that have drafted. And a little thing threw me off there. And they're all going to lose today, Hartitz, because like one of us is winning this whole thing. So I feel bad because I know a lot of people have drafted a lot of these teams. But it's after these two monsters are done today, it's just I'm sorry. It just is what it is.
As Abe Lincoln once famously said, sucks to suck. So I am picking out of the 6th spot. Dwain, you are going out of the 8 hole. And yeah, DraftKings full PPR scoring, 1 quarterback, and pretty much all the other rules are going to be your basics. So yeah, love our friends over there at DraftKings. Lots of best ball offerings that if you guys want to try to get in here in these last few days we have before Thursday Night Football, would certainly recommend doing so. So Dwain, again, just about to get going here, and without giving too much away, I think we can both agree having one of the 1 through 8 picks, you're feeling pretty good because you're virtually guaranteed, I should say, a top 3 RB or a top 5 wide receiver.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's probably, I don't even feel like there's a cutoff anymore. Like we've had so much news just kind of reshape things like over the last few weeks. It got kind of weird where early on it was kind of tough drafting down from, the end. And then it got to where, oh gosh, there were so many people hurt, it got even harder. Then a lot of that stuff cleared up. And so it's interesting, like the ebbs and flows of a draft season with the way things go up and down. And a lot of times we just land back in the same spot, which is probably the case with a lot of the guys down at the M. I guess I've just gotten so in on Garrett Wilson lately. Like that's why I feel so much more comfortable down there. I mean, I liked him before, but I've really been trying to get a lot of Garrett Wilson lately.
I hear you. And then obviously A.J. Brown, should he just be in that top 5 conversation, I wouldn't fault anyone there. We've talked up Jonathan Taylor a little bit, Jahmyr Gibbs. I mean, we did a real-time sports draft out of, the 11 hole and went superhero RB, Achane, and Gibbs, and ended up being one of our favorite drafts, that we have completed together this summer. So feeling good as I'm about to be on the clock. Christian McCaffrey, CeeDee Lamb, Breece Hall, and Tyreek Hill, the first 4 picks. I will be taking Bijan if I get the chance. I got the chance. Bijan Robinson, come on down. Maybe the RB1, Dwain, and now he's not on your team. So what wide receiver are you hoping gets to you here?
I'm just going to go ahead and take the Chase discount. I mean, we'll deal with it. Like if he ends up not playing. But like, it's just something like when these kind of things happen, I try to take advantage of them. I try to take advantage of these dips. My guess is Jamar Chase is not holding out the whole season, guys. Like there's too much money on the line. He's still, there's 2 years left on his contract with Cincinnati. I mean, if he doesn't play enough games this year, then he might as well think there's another 3 years he has to play in Cincinnati. So also these game checks, those are pretty big. I still need to go check and see what that would cost him per game. I'm being pretty lazy fantasy analyst here, not knowing how much it costs Jamar Chase per game to miss. But I know this, guys, it's a lot.
Good hard-hitting math analysis right there, Dwain. Would expect nothing less out of you. So again, it's just a little bit weird. I mean, the Ayuk situation was weird too, but again, I think the takeaway from seeing how the Ayuk thing went down, like the most likely scenario just made sense for Ayuk and the 49ers was for him to stay in San Francisco the whole time. So as much as we going to hear reports from random dog avatars on Twitter and hear a bunch of other stuff going on, maybe just again focus as much as you can, block out the noise, and do what you think is going to be most likely. So Dwain, Jahmyr Gibbs added to the squad, not too shabby.
Should not fall to that spot.
About to say.
Just taking value on both the first 2. Like, he had the questionable symbol by him. You see this sometimes in these rooms and sometimes you're in with drafters that may not really know or, how recent like that questionable tag is. Like it still says out on CeeDee Lamb. So, I mean, sometimes that sort of thing will push players a little further than they should go. And you get kind of unique combinations. Not real easy to get Jamar Chase and Jahmyr Gibbs on the same team. So happy to do that here.
I went ahead and locked in Deebo Samuel. Was going to take Drake London, who, again, we all consider basically a top 10, top 11 wide receiver. He went one pick before me. So Cooper Kupp was on the board, Chris Olave as well. Just one of those situations where, honestly, Dwayne, I haven't drafted as much Deebo Samuel as I've kind of wanted to this offseason. So righting that wrong in this, $1.5 million lineup. So what better time to go ahead and get me a little bit of Deebo Samuel. But we discussed on a Friday show, some of the impact with Ayuk, returning to the 49ers. Obviously, we would love to have, all the touches going to Deebo here. But, man, does it really change that much for you in terms of Deebo and Ayuk with your updated ranks?
No. I'm not moving any. I mean, I did move Deebo down a little bit, but it's only because I moved him up like 3 slots just in case Ayuk didn't play there. And so basically, I moved Deebo like to the top of his tier. Now I moved him back to the bottom of a tier, or it's like the middle of the tier that he's in where I had him before. But look, man, I mean, the dude's going to get probably 300 yards rushing, 3 or 4 touchdowns, even if he just gives you 800 yards receiving. Like, you're already at 1,100 yards and a shot at 10 touchdowns. If he has a big receiving year, you're talking about somebody that could give you 1,000 to 1,100 yards plus another 300 to 400 on top of that. It's a 1,500-yard player, man, that can give you 10 to 12 touchdowns when he's running pure. So, I like Deebo. I prefer him over Ayuk. I got him on another site this morning. I got him at pick 34. Like, people just are letting him completely fall because of the change. What's funny is a week ago or 2 weeks ago, people were taking him at the 1-2 turn, and now he's dead. He's dead to you.
Terry McLaurin.
Good news is, Hartitz, you can't take both players that I like here. I'm getting one of these two. As long as this dude doesn't screw me.
I was about to say, Dwayne, careful. We still got 3 picks before you, and there goes one of them. So, yeah, Rashee Rice, come on down. Again, Dwayne, sucks to suck, but I'm sure you can figure it out. Rashee Rice, Deebo Samuel, and Bijan for your boy. And last point on Deebo Samuel, guys, he changed his number to number 1 this year. So if there's any more doubt, with what's going to happen, big 2024 upcoming for Deebo. But, Dwayne, you're about to be on the clock. Again, Jamar Chase and Jahmyr Gibbs to start. What are we thinking here as we enter the mid part of round 3?
I've been wanting to get some more DK Metcalf, so I'm going to do it. You and I talked about it a little bit the other day on the show. Just the fact that, DK, he's always been a man beater. Hasn't got all the targets against zone. More of those have gone to Lockett. But whenever he's a man beater. Yeah,
I know. He does beat the crap out of corners sometimes.
Yeah, he'll beat anybody. But yeah, when you look at DK Metcalf, we have Tyler Lockett, who's been on a downward trend. We don't know for sure if Jackson Smith-Njigba is going to be good. We like Jackson Smith-Njigba, but assuming that he's going to be this great player, I think there's still a lot of risk in that. So, yeah, I like getting my share of DK Metcalf. I think if there's a chance for a year where he smashes, this is the year we find out, Hartitz.
Entering at round 4, first quarterback off the board, Lamar Jackson. Team 12 went ahead and stacked up Zay Flowers and Lamar one after another right there. So don't hate that move at all. Again, Lamar, someone that we also discussed, at least I discussed, being a bit afraid of the lack of drafts. I've been able to tap him in, but again, we certainly do foresee the upside there. Zay Flowers is an interesting one, Dwayne, because I don't know about you. I mean, I haven't refrained from drafting him, but especially in best ball, man, I just feel like where he's been going, again, late round 3 and early parts of round 4, haven't also made the biggest habit of clicking him. And it's not so much that I'm down the talent. He's awesome. It's just more so, again, someone where is he really having that, sky high 150 plus target ceiling as long as Mark Andrews is going to be healthy? I don't really think so. So you took another electric second year wide receiver, Tank Dell, in round 4. Pretty good value there, Dwayne.
Yeah, so, I mean, I considered Stephon Diggs the pick before, but I wanted to get my Metcalf shares. I thought about setting up the Diggs, Dell, come back with C.J. Stroud. C.J. Stroud's one of these players, Ian, I feel like we're going to look back at it and think, man, we really overthought that. This dude just threw for 5,000 yards and 40 touchdowns. I mean, we've got a loaded offense. He looked great in year 1. It's like, what else can we ask of the freaking man, And we're still kind of like, we're going to hold up and, let him fall because we like Jaden Daniels, which I do. I like Jaden Daniels. I like the strategy of waiting on the quarterbacks. But at the same time, with a guy like Stroud, sometimes I worry that we overthink it. We should have drafted more.
Something else I also like are the fine folks over at DraftKings. Hey Hey everyone, with the football season kicking off, it is the perfect time to dive into the action with our partners over at DraftKings, the #1 place to bet on touchdowns. And right now, all new customers who bet $5 will instantly get $250 back in bonus bets. And get this, 1 month of NFL Plus Premium on us. By the way, guys, if you've been a subscriber to NFL Game Pass before, I cannot say enough good things about their new NFL Plus Premium package. Really, really cool features in terms of their all 22 filtering options. So again, that is something we can all celebrate. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app today and sign up using our promo code FantasyLife. The crown is yours. And stay in on the action. Use your $250 in bonus bets to bet anytime touchdowns on DraftKings. Of course, DraftKings is the place to bet on touchdowns. And if sports betting is not yet available in your state, don't worry. You can still join in on all the fun with DraftKings Daily Fantasy and have the shot to win cash prizes. Best Ball is a hell of a drug as well, as we are demonstrating today. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. New customers use our promo code FantasyLife and bet just $5 on any wager and get $250 in bonus bets instantly. That's promo code FantasyLife only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Entering round 5 now, Dwain, I went ahead and stacked up Rashee Rice with my guy, Patty Mahomes. Not my guy, he's just Patrick Mahomes. I don't know why I said that. But anyway, feeling good as we get into round 5. Would be especially cool if I could add another wide receiver that is not going to make it to you, Dwain. I know you want Xavier Worthy. You're not getting him, man. Deal with it.
It's for you. I'm making you reach. You have to take him now because he won't come back to you. So really, it's your loss, not mine. Because you honestly should try to let it go and see if you can get him back because he's so much further down this list. But you can't do that.
What list are you
Hartitz.
looking at? He's 5th in ADP.
I'm looking at Hollywood Brown. I'm looking at the overall, like all these guys. If you look at Xavier Worthy, dude, he's like 70 something. He's like down there
by the rank. I'm looking at ADP, bro. We're looking at 2 different stories over here. So regardless,
I've got it sorted by ADP.
Well, maybe we have different ADP. Who the hell knows then? Xavier Worthy, come on down either way. Dwain, you're back on the clock. What are we doing?
I was thinking about Stroud here, but honestly, this is too far for Amari Cooper, in my opinion, to fall. So I'm going to go ahead and take it because I can also still get Joe Burrow coming back.
Through 5 rounds now, I start off with Bijan Robinson as my hero RB, Deebo Samuel in round 2, and then loading up on the Chiefs, Rashee Rice, Patrick Mahomes, and Xavier Worthy back to back to back. Hey, putting all the eggs in the Chiefs basket. I have heard of worse ideas this offseason. Meanwhile, Dwain, you start off with Jamar Chase out of the 108, Jahmyr Gibbs in round 2 to get your hero, and then 3 straight wide receivers in DK Metcalf, Tank Dell, and Amari Cooper. Worth mentioning that, yes, over at DraftKings, we are starting 3 wide receivers per week with 1 flex. So it is one of these formats where you really do want to go hard in the paint early at wide receiver. So Dwain, I know you'd be feeling good about getting, having your cake and eating it too with Stroud falling back to you in round 6. But either way, I feel like you got yourself a pretty nice start.
Yeah, and really Burrow's the better stack for this team because it's Jamar Chase. So like if I'm putting one chip on like just somebody going bonkers this year, it's Burrow. And if we're talking about another quarterback, after we're talking about CJ Stroud and Mahomes that could throw for 5,000 yards and 40 tutties, like who is it? It's freaking Joe Burrow, man. Like Joe Burrow is like an absolute steal this year in drafts. This is a guy we had to take in round 4 and 5 of best ball drafts last year. And now he falls into round 7 and 8. So I just look at it. Look at his career. Look at what he's done. He's a young ascending player. Yeah, he's had to battle a few injuries. He's got the weapons around him. I was hoping when I took Tank Dell, I could get T. Higgins to sneak back down around me. I considered taking T. Higgins when I took Tank Dell. But honestly, with the way that the drafts have gone over here, Ian, and the way the quarterbacks get sniped so much, I just wanted to leave the door open for either Stroud or Burrow because I've been sniped so many times in these rooms that like it's now like it's part of my DNA to try to avoid it.
Stroud does go off the board, followed by Anthony Richardson in round 6. So you're about to be on the clock, Dwain. You're going to push it? There are 3 teams, I should say 4 teams between you with no QB.
I know I'm getting screwed if I do it because the dude down there with T. Higgins is freaking taking him if I pass it. But, whatever. Let's see.
That's a sigh. That's a sigh right there.
The problem is there's nothing now with Pitt's gone. With Pitt's gone, there's nothing that's just like, oh, God, I have to have it. So I am going to take Burrow. I'm just going to go ahead and do it because I know the dude down there with Higgins is doing it if I don't. Because I just know how these go. I'm a veteran.
Man, seen a lot over the years. I went ahead and scooped up Deontay Johnson to get my fourth wide receiver inside of the first 6 rounds of drafts. So
That would have been
I
my
will
pick if I
say,
didn't.
yeah, well, now it's my pick, so congrats on that. Dwayne, I do think for those that haven't been, watching all of our real-time sports drafts, which I get it, it's, 90 plus minutes for each. We have a fun time, but again, you haven't caught all of them. You guys have people to talk to, grass to touch. Regardless, we have Dwayne in 6 drafts now, basically tried to push QB every time. We have not, dipped our toes into taking anyone, I believe, before round 8, round 9, and more drafts than not. Only once have we actually gotten burned by making educated, decisions where it's like, hey, we have 5 quarterbacks we like. There are 4 teams basically without a quarterback going to the turn, and we presume one will come back. Yes, on one occasion, we had an auto draft and we had someone double up their quarterbacks inside the first 8 rounds, and we got burnt there. But generally, man, has that been your preferred quarterback strategy? And is that pretty much the basis of Jaden Daniels being one of your most drafted players? Because, again, it does turn into a pretty decent tier there. And the later you can wait on the quarterback, guess what? The better.
Yep, every year is different, but this year you can definitely do it at quarterback. And I want to note that the one time we got screwed, there were only 2 teams without a quarterback. There were 4 guys in the tier, or 5 guys in the tier that we like. And then the team that had Hartitz took another one or auto drafted their second quarterback. And then the team with, I can't remember. That was Josh Allen. Josh Allen's team auto drafted a second quarterback. And then the Jalen Hurts team took Dak Prescott. And he did not have CeeDee Lamb. So once that happened, the turn didn't have a quarterback. He had to take one. And then the other team that didn't have one took theirs. And, that got us. So
that did get us indeed. So here
only
we are,
one
guys.
time, though. We've threaded the
Only
needle
one.
every other time.
Like I said, man, I'll take 5 out of 6. And even that team, what we do at the end, did we just pick, some terrible quarterback at that spot? No, we didn't take a quarterback till like round 14, ended up with, I believe, Matthew Stafford, Justin Fields, and someone else to hopefully pass by the time. So maybe, just maybe, we end up hitting on it anyway. We shall see. Tight ends starting to fly off the board. Evan Ingram and Jake Ferguson, leaving us a little bit thin at the position, but I am not going to rush it. Instead, really taking a long look at this wide receiver train about to fall off. And in a full PPR site, Dwayne, give me some Jackson Smith-Njigba over Brian Thomas Jr., Christian Watson, amongst others. Certainly one tier. I have a feeling you're going to be looking hard at, again, the first round rookie in Jacksonville if he makes it to you. But yeah, picking JSN because I believe in him, Dwayne, not because he made one contested catch on a slot fade earlier this preseason. But yeah, as I said that, Brian Thomas Jr. went right before you. So apologies for speaking that into existence. What are you doing?
No, it's okay. Right. I need, honestly, I need more Christian Watson shares. Like, he's a guy that I like, and it just, the way the drafts have gone, he's not been, the guy I take. And when I'm in a tier with him, like I put him to the bottom of the tier just because, we don't typically call players injury prone, but if there's someone that's injury prone, it's freaking Christian Watson. And he has all that soft tissue stuff. So I push him below Smith-Njigba. I usually take Brian Thomas Jr. over him. I still take Watson over JMO just because Watson's at least shown it at the NFL level. But man, like in this draft too, like Keenan Allen, dude, falling to what pick was that? 74 in a full PPR. That's insane. People are going to look back at this whole fat Keenan thing and think that they were idiots. I'm just telling you right now, the dude's playing in the slot. Yes, it's a crowded offense, but thinking Keenan Allen is going to suddenly be dust, getting to play against linebackers and safeties. We talk about, man, like jumping the shark. Best ball. We've jumped the shark.
Dude, and also when you just think about it, okay, it's Keenan Allen. He was living in LA. He has to go to Chicago now. New team. He's freaking 32 at this point, whatever it is. I don't blame, is he 32 or 31? Regardless, 30, I don't blame him for taking a couple routes off in the preseason, all right? Spare me the all 22 cut-ups of him not exactly running full speed, all right? Look at what he did last season, spare me this whole preseason business. So, Dwayne, about to be on the clock again. Still just one running back on both of our squads. You about to change that here as we enter round 8?
Yeah, I've got to. When you wait this long, it's like, all right, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take Javonte. I don't have very many Javonte Williams shares. I did early, like when he was like in the 120s range, took a lot of Javonte, but as he's climbed up, I kind of chilled out on it. So yeah, I needed to add another running back.
I am now on the clock. I'm going to go and get someone that we've, been making a habit of drafting. Chase Brown, come on down. I do need a tight end, but guess what, guys? I look to my left and YouTubers can see it. Every single team between me and the turn already has tight ends. So yes, maybe they could double up, but I'm pretty confident I can get David Njoku coming back to me in the next round. So feeling good about that. And guess what else I'm feeling good about? Mike's Hard Lemonade. Hey, Fantasy Life fans, let me ask you a question. Was your day hard enough for a Mike's Hard Lemonade? Are you in a slow draft that just won't end? The worst. Were you one pick away from getting Brian Thomas Jr. in a perfect quarterback wide receiver stack, but got sniped? Living the fantasy life is hard, and Mike's Hard Lemonade is the reward for a hard-earned thirst. Reward yourself today. Go to www.mikeshard.com to find out where you can get Mike's nearest you. Hard days deserve a hard lemonade. Round 8, Mr. McFarland. Your boys riding the Chiefs over here. Mahomes, Rice, Worthy. Also got some goodness up top as I'm scrolling up to see the rest of my team. Bijan Robinson, Deebo Samuel, then added Deontay Johnson, Jackson Smith, and Jigba before we hit a big-time wide receiver cliff. Chase Brown as my RB2. Meanwhile, you got Joe Burrow leading the squad, stacked up nicely with Jamar Chase, DK Metcalf, Tank Dell, Amari Cooper, Christian Watson filling out the wide receiver room, and then Jahmyr Gibbs and Javonte Williams as your top 2 running backs. So
just all about the Javonte bring back. You're done. You're done. I've got Javonte Williams versus Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. You should just auto draft.
Yeah, no point in me even going forward with this. I mean, Dwayne's got it done. Seriously, though, with Javonte, I mean, he is someone where, we talked up Jaleel McLaughlin. I recognize that. And Audric Estime is someone. It could be a 3-headed committee, Dwayne, or maybe it is just a Javonte Williams show. I mean, Sean Payton said a lot of good things about him. We remember how Javonte looked pre-knee injury as a rookie and then, the first 4 games of the following year. I mean, Javonte, if he's getting 20-plus touches in this offense and they're continuing to feed him the ball, and guess what? They trust him as the pass protector over Jaleel. All of a sudden, Javonte is going to be rising up those ranks in a hurry.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's going to be a split backfield, though, because we've just seen Sean Payton prefer that over his career. Even in Alvin Kamara's best years, he was in a split backfield with Mark Ingram. The beauty is if he can get his offense rolling, he feeds the running back so much in the pass game. You can have a couple of viable options. I know you've talked a lot about the expected fantasy points for the Denver Broncos last year. Now, obviously, we don't expect those to suddenly regress all the way to the league average. The offense is going to have to first be good. One of the first things you'll notice when you see teams that underperform in expected fantasy points, what are those things based on? Touches and where they got the touch on the field. Well, if you're in a bad offense, guess what? You're not getting as many of those good opportunities. And it looks like just from a pure volume perspective, everything's good. Everything's really good, but it's the quality. It's the quality of those opportunities that's a real problem there, Hartitz. So yeah, man, I knew that was going to happen. I nearly took a tight end in the last pick just because this dude here also needed one, and I knew you would take one of Njoku or Bowers. So it's okay. Yep. I'm going to pass it, and I'm going to take Zach Moss to go along with my Bengals. Because we don't know who's going to be the true lead back for the Bengals in week 1. It could be Zach Moss. It could be Chase Brown. We're typically taking Chase Brown over Zach Moss, but I want to keep the split a little closer than what I've had it recently.
Honestly, I was drafting Moss way over Chase for kind of the first half of this offseason. Second half, I've been drafting Brown over Moss. And I'm happy to have, honestly, pretty, equal bags of both at this point. So when we've been in drafts, talking through kind of the picks, we've also taken both of them. I think the answer very well, Dwayne, could just be yes. So Travion Williams definitely doesn't seem like someone who's going to be out there stealing important touches. Could he potentially get, some pass blocking reps? Sure. But, you brought it up, Dwayne. Look, a lot of teams are going to have that third running back that takes a few snaps here or there. It's more of an issue of not so much we want the pass protector in there. Go ahead, take those snaps. We don't care. It's more so, and this is one of the bases of your utilization report, who's getting the 2-minute touches, because that's where we see a lot of those targets come to fruition.
Yeah, it's all about the 2-minute offense. The long down and distance, it's nice if we can have the player out there, but historically speaking, that's 3rd and long, and you're getting man coverage from a defense, and what are they doing? They're blitzing. So you're having to protect. And if they don't blitz, and then you get to kind of just jump, the running back, that's the play where you'll see them kind of stay and wait in. On Madden, it's the blue route. You got to wait and see if you're going to block. And then if there's nobody to block, then you leak to the flat. Well, it's 3rd and 7. What's a check down to the running back going to do? Typically, the quarterback is not going to throw that pass anyway. So, yeah, it's all about that 2-minute offense where the offense knows the defense is going to go into a shell coverage. They're going to have deep zone looks, and they get forced to throw the ball underneath. And then that leads to a lot of targets for our running backs. So what do I want to do here?
It's a good question. Jaden Daniels is falling.
No, not doing that on this team.
Yeah.
Gotta keep the pressure going on the second
And
half
there
of
goes Jaden.
running back. I'll take Jonathan Brooks here. So
Man, I like some of these wide receivers. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do it, Dwayne. Wicks or Shaheed. Wicks or Shaheed. Wicks or
YKB. I was going to say,
Shaheed.
is this your YKB? Is this your YKB pick?
Rashid
Both of those are pretty
Shaheed.
good YKB picks.
Yeah.
Whether it's Wicks or Shaheed.
Wicks is a dog, obviously. But again, if the other Packers receivers are staying healthy, I do think Wicks is the favorite to be the 4. And yeah, it's probably not going to completely render him useless in fantasy. But, at a certain point, yeah, I do think Jordan Love is quite a bit better than Derek Carr. But, if Shaheed is getting 30, 40 targets more, going to be tough for Wicks to make up that difference. So could have argued that, I am weak enough at running back with still just 2 on the squad that maybe, should have kept going there. But looking at some of the options available in terms of, Blake Corum and Trey Benson and Chuba Hubbard, Ty Chandler, was most likely going with a handcuff type pick at this point. And I was fairly confident I would get one coming back to me. So right after Shaheed, though, Dwayne, Rico Dowdle, and then Austin Eckler. We talk a little bit today about some battleground backfields. Spoiler, everyone, we are recording this on a Friday. Sorry, I should have made that a little bit more clear. So second Fantasy Live show we've recorded today. But looking at Austin Eckler, Dwayne, I mean, it is one of those things where even last year on a bad Chargers team, and I know he had, the bigger support of the organization, but even in a bad year, he was still a borderline RB2 playing through an ankle injury all year. I mean, it is possible that one of the best fantasy running backs that we've seen in the last half decade is still, pretty good at football.
Yeah, it is a chance. And when you look at the roles from the preseason, it is a situation where it's one of those where it's what you would expect it to be. You'd expect Brian Robinson Jr. to get the carries, on the early downs, be more that inside the tackles banger. And then when you go into the passing down work, Austin Eckler getting onto the field. And that's what we've seen this preseason. So Austin Eckler has been getting most of the long down and distance. He's been getting most of they didn't really run the 2-minute offense this preseason, so you can't say that. But his route participation is almost double what Brian Robinson Jr. had. So I think they've got pretty clearly defined roles for the two players. Both of them will still mix in a little bit with the other, but I think Eckler in a full PPR definitely could have some value. And if for some reason Robinson struggles inside the 5-yard line, that's an area that we've seen Eckler actually be really good at historically. And man, just go watch the guy's workout videos. You're not going to doubt whether or not he can score touchdowns.
So I'm seeing enough at the RB position to believe I can maybe get some guys coming back to me. So I'm going to take my last wide receiver for a while. Someone that hurt me a lot last year and in previous years, Dwayne, but I still believe. Jerry Jeudy, come on down. I got Njoku. I'm going to try to build a little bit of a Brown stack here to kind of get my, complement my Chiefs stack. So Deshaun Watson is one of my most drafted quarterbacks. I just, was running some of the numbers today, Dwayne. And when you do look at it, again, he has been horrible in his 12 games in Cleveland, still just 12 games. You got to keep that in mind. But despite that, man, over these past 2 seasons, Watson has a higher percentage of QB1 finishes than Jared Goff, than Tua Tagovailoa, than Matthew Stafford, and then Aaron Rodgers. And again, he has been horrible, but guess what? You can be horrible in real life. And if you run even as much as Watson does at this stage in his career, you can still pull some, QB1 finishes out of your butt from time to time. So yeah, invested in the Browns. Was invested in the Browns last year too. Didn't work out then, but at least now it's a bit cheaper.
I did not expect your sentence to end that way. You can pull some QB1 finishes out of your butt. That's awesome. Yeah. This is top. This is high class. This is a high class show we got going on right here. This is awesome.
PG Ian over here, just doing it for the families out there. You finally got your tight end, Dwayne, Dallas Goedert. We'll mention that on DraftKings, Taysom Hill is available here. Yeah. So, man,
that's going to be one of the more interesting. I wanted 2 of Goddard and Schultz, but the ding-dong Mark Andrews drafter thought he had to have Dalton Schultz. Like, come on, people. Like, what are some of you people doing? Like, taking all these things that you took early. Like, you're just, like, you're shooting yourself in the face. All right. What do we got here? Dobbins went too. Sweet. I'm just going to, whatever. I'm just going to go ahead and take this.
Hold on. Chill. Oh, okay. Come on. Don't take Benson. I just want Trey Benson. It's not too much to ask.
You don't even like Trey Benson. You hate him. You don't think he even belongs in the same tier.
I like him in round 12.
You write personal letters to his family telling him he doesn't belong in the same tier with Blake Corum and Jalen Wright.
Dwayne, you swore you wouldn't tell anyone that, man.
That's sorry. That was our little. I kept it a secret most of the offseason.
My buddies and I were deciding draft order last year, maybe 2 years ago, and I drew Albert Pujols, who was like being given this last kind of season of his career chance in the home run derby, which is how we were determining draft order. And I freaked out. I was like, "Are you kidding me? I get this freaking charity, guy coming in here and getting it." And I was like, "I'll write Albert Pujols a freaking letter apologizing if he can make it out of round one." Which he did, Dwayne. So I still have a letter to Albert Pujols actually on my fridge to this day. Still haven't mailed it. Maybe one of these days. So more on that in just a minute. But first, guys, a quick word with our friends over at Experian. Experian is to your finances what FantasyLife is to your fantasy league. It is a tool and resource designed to make your life easier, which I think we can all get behind. The Experian app is free and serves as a one-stop shop for managing your financial health. With so many spending and subscription details to track, let Experian handle it for you. They'll find and cancel your unwanted or unused subscriptions, helping you save money and focus on what really matters. That's right, winning your fantasy league. Download the Experian app today. Appreciate you guys at Experian. Any company with Ian in their name can't be too bad in my book, Dwayne. So here we are getting into, I believe, round 13. I snagged Trey Benson, the last pick, Chuba Hubbard, Zach Charbonnet, and Ezekiel Elliott went there shortly after. So
not to be mean, but look at some of these teams. There's a team that has Dak Prescott without a Cowboy receiver, and he took Jared Goff without he does have Sam Laporta. Sorry, I missed that. And then we got Trevor Lawrence without a Jaguar. And you got three
bold
quarterbacks.
Move.
Like I just,
what if it's what you need, Dwayne?
I forget. Not everyone reads all the best ball column stuff and all the strategy stuff that's out there.
I guess you are correct. So I would love.
Now, I'm just going to tell you, don't wait too long. I do have a guy named Amari Cooper. I'm not going to say I'm not helping you out a little bit here, but
Dwayne, why are you going to explain that on me now?
Well, hey, I have two quarterbacks. You could get lucky, and Geno. If you don't take Watson, I'll let him go by here and see if I get Geno to come back. But if Geno goes,
that's fair.
And Watson's there, I have to take him.
Okay, I'll play that game. Ty Chandler, come on down. Some might call this collusion. I don't know. I would call it guys being dudes.
Yeah.
I also have Jackson Smith and Jigba. So if you want to go Deshaun Watson, I'll take Geno.
Yeah. See,
we can always trade. That's a thing. We can trade in best ball leagues. That'd be wild.
Trade in best ball leagues. That would be wild.
Wow, the team with Jaden Daniels.
I want to get another receiver here. Do I want Algier or do I want to go ahead and just get Josh Downs?
Josh Downs, a star of Colts training camp. Most recent report even noted that he was being targeted ahead of Michael Pittman with Anthony Richardson under center. Obviously going to likely miss a little bit of time to start the year, but I do think Josh Downs with his falling ADP is
I just timed out. And it was Watson.
Oh, yeah. Funny how that works, Dwayne.
I'm serious.
Yeah.
Sorry. I would rather have Geno. I want Geno because I've got DK.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure, Dwayne. Definitely wanted Geno.
Well, I'm sorry. I really, if you don't get Geno to come back to you in this one, I will send you $20. I'm sorry.
The boy who cried timeout, Dwain McFarland, everybody. Come on down.
I just seen Josh Downs and I couldn't find him. I know he's in here.
He must be way down there or something. Yeah,
there he is. No, well, I have to click over to receiver because the receivers are down. I was in the overall. Jesus. All right, whatever.
No, I'm cool. I've had plenty of hey, this is just a sign that maybe I need a Jameis Winston share at the end of my draft. That's all I'm saying at this point. So it is when you're playing with fire like that, that's what annoys me sometimes with people complaining about getting their quarterback sniped. Like, even if you weren't going to take Watson there, I mean, freaking three other quarterbacks went. This was the time of the draft for Watson to go. I'm not going to get mad at that. Now, your price, and then someone takes him freaking 30, 40 picks ahead of ADP. That is a time to scream. But you know what? You can't be too mad when you get Geno Smith falling back to you, Dwayne, in round 14. So
it all still worked out the same. Sorry.
Yeah,
I would rather have Geno on this team. So I just would rather have Geno straight up than Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, I don't don't disagree with that. We've certainly seen one play a bit better real life football here over the past few years. So with, again, 14 rounds wrapped up at this point, my QB1 is Patrick Mahomes. I have him stacked with Rashid Rice and Xavier Worthy. Also have Deebo Samuel, Deontay Johnson, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Rashid Shaheed, and an unstacked Jerry Jeudy, thanks to a certain someone chilling on my squad. Bijan Robinson and Chase Brown, RB1 and RB2. I got Trey Benson and Ty Chandler as some cuffs on the bench. David Njoku as my tight end one. Going to need to add a few more there. And then got Geno Smith as my QB2. So done at quarterback at this point. Pretty well set at wide receiver. Going to have to be spending some more draft capital on running back and at least one, if not two more tight ends here as we get into the final 6 or so rounds of the draft. Meanwhile, Dwain, want to break down the squad?
Yeah. I am sitting on my 2 quarterbacks. Joe Burrow, I took first, then come back with Deshaun Watson. They are both stacked, so I'm going to cover my wide receivers. Jamar Chase goes with Joe Burrow. Then I got DK Metcalf, Tank Dell, and Amari Cooper. He is paired up with Deshaun Watson. And then I have Christian Watson as well. So I've got 5 wide receivers. I took all of those wide receivers in the first 7 picks. I got Jahmyr Gibbs in the second round, though, Ian. So following, but kind of a rare pairing to get Jamar Chase and Jahmyr Gibbs. Chase, obviously, with the camp news there, or the potential to miss week 1 news, is falling down the board a little bit. And then I came back and rounded my running back room out with Javonte Williams. He's a week 17 bring back. So that means you have the Bengals and you have the Broncos playing in the final week. Then I got Zach Moss to go with my Bengals. Then I went with Jonathan Brooks for the late season, hopefully heroics, Ian, along with Jalen Wright to finish it out. And then my tight ends are Dallas Goedert and Luke Musgrave. Probably going to get one more tight end on the squad since I waited so long to take my first one.
I went ahead and took Antonio Gibson. Was honestly looking at also Kamani Vidal there, or even Kate Otten to get my second tight end. I do wonder, man, Kate Otten, like if you do look at all the tight ends past, again, kind of our big 12, if you want to put Schultz and Taysom Hill in there and kind of have our big 14, sorry, Pat Freiermuth, we booted you, no longer in the circle of trust over here. Like we've seen what Arthur Smith is doing. Muth is out of the circle of trust. I do wonder if we're overlooking Kate Otten, Dwain, because if we're just trying to find the guy that's going to be on the field, I mean, it is absolutely Kate Otten. The guy's snaps are over 90% every game, let alone the routes. He did have a couple nice playoff games. Again, we've seen him for a couple years now, hasn't exactly been putting up the wildest numbers or anything, but Kate Otten is someone who, man, again, if late in the draft we're just looking for someone that we know is going to be out there, it's absolutely Kate Otten.
Best ball only. Kate Otten, you'll never put in your lineup in a regular league, but in best ball, yes, he's gonna have. You don't know when they're gonna come, but because to your point, he's out there so much, he's gonna have a couple of weeks where you're gonna look up and be like, oh yeah, 60 yards on 5 catches and he caught a touchdown. Which in tight end land, that's gonna give you a tight end 1 performance for the week. So I took his teammate Jalen McMillan, which I think is a little bit of a new challenge for him because it was Kate Otten. Well, if you don't throw it to Mike Evans or Chris Godwin, and maybe Rashad White, then Kate Otten will get the ball. Well, now potentially that other name is Jalen McMillan, who's been great throughout the preseason, great at training camp. He has locked down the number 3 role. So I decided to go ahead and throw another wide receiver on the squad here, Ian. I do need another tight end. There are a couple of running backs still sitting here that, in my opinion, are going too late. So I'm not going to name them right now because I'm hoping to get one, and you'll probably take the one that I don't take.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping there wouldn't be freaking 5 tight ends go between, my round 15 and round 16.
I thought you were going Fant. I thought you were going Fant because the Geno pick, but I understood the Gibson pick too. I understand because after you took Chase Brown and decided to wait another 2 rounds or 3 rounds to get Njoku and add the 2 receivers, you did have to come back to the running back. So I totally get it.
Had to play a little bit of catch up for sure. So again, can't exactly hit 100 in all these drafts. Would have been a lot cooler if we did. But anytime, Dwain, you can wait and get Tyler Conklin, you still got me feeling pretty good about life. So this is maybe like the 2nd or 3rd time I've clicked on Tyler Conklin's name all summer long. I was hoping if it wasn't going to be Fant, it would be Jonnu Smith coming back to me, getting a little backdoor week 17 action with the Cleveland stack. But alas, maybe another day. So here we are. into round 17 almost, Dwayne. So 4 more picks over here. Thank you to the fine folks at DraftKings for not having DSTs or kickers for us to freaking figure out. That would be a living nightmare. So you went ahead and sniped up Tyrone Tracy, Dwayne, who I was looking today, man, one of my most drafted running backs of the offseason. So thank God that we did not have that serious injury really come to fruition with him. Right now, man, certainly looking like the odds-on favorite to be Devin Singletary's primary handcuff.
Yeah. Singletary is a guy that we like, but like that's kind of what everyone says about Singletary. It's kind of like, well, I like him. I don't know if I love him. It's that kind of thing. And It seems to every year, right? There's some other running back on the depth chart that like towards the middle or end of the season, it's kind of, maybe we'll give this guy a run instead of Devin Singletary. What was interesting, it was the opposite last year for Devin Singletary. He was the guy that was the underdog, right? Playing behind Damian Pierce, ended up taking over that backfield. But yeah, Tyrone Tracy just hasn't played running back, that long in real football world. So looking at him and just the fact that, he's got the receiving skills we want, the fact that he's got that explosive playmaking ability. So he just checks a lot of boxes. So I think there's an opportunity that he could have a role and then that could potentially expand. Of course, if something happens to Singletary, knock on wood, we hope that it doesn't. That would also be something that could potentially open up opportunities for Mr. Tyrone Tracy.
Daniel Jones off the board to start round 17. I had a bit of a realization today, Dwayne. I was, kind of writing up some propaganda for some of my bull calls, one of which is Malik Neighbors outscoring Marvin Harrison Jr. this season. So, that was a pretense for what we were under and everything. But I just went and looked at these last 2 seasons. Now, for a career, this comparison does not hold up. So, again, I'm adding some caveats here. And for my money's worth, give me Kyler Murray over Daniel Jones 200 times out of 100. That said, passing metrics over these past 2 seasons, EPA per dropback almost identical. Jones hasn't beaten completion percentage over expected. Jones hasn't beaten PFF pass grade. Jones hasn't beaten passing yards per attempt, and passer rating is pretty much identical as well. So do you think, Dwayne, there's potentially been a little bit of an overstatement in terms of the difference in quarterback play that Malik Neighbors and Marvin Harrison Jr. are dealing with? Because if we can say that Jones and Kyler are a little bit closer than we've been, necessarily accounting for this offseason, we know who has the higher target ceiling against the guy not dealing with Trey McBride in his offense.
Yeah, I think there's a chance. I went back and looked at that too. I still think there's a pretty significant gap. And we've also seen the upside of Kyler to have that 4,000-yard passing season. We've never seen anything close to that from Daniel Jones. But I do think it, to your point, like it could be closer than we think. I think the big thing going from Malik Neighbors is the fact that he's probably going to have 140 to 150 targets. There's really no one else in the offense. He is a good enough player that you can move him all over the formation. He's going to be able to beat all sorts of coverages. He's going to do a lot with the ball in his hands after the catch. I think you're getting a Jalen Waddle rookie season, Ian, which means borderline wide receiver 1. If you want to call it a high-end wide receiver 2, just so you don't have to go too far out on a limb, then you can call him a high-end wide receiver 2. I get it that it's going to be tough for him to crack a top 3. It's funny. He doesn't have the upside to be a top 4 wide receiver. Guy, you're taking him in around 3 or 4 or 5, depending on where you're drafting. He doesn't. What wide receiver are you taking in that range that's really got a chance to be a top 6 wide receiver in the NFL? So, I think with the Daniel Jones thing, 211 yards per game in the games that he's played at least 90% of the snaps. So I think it's a situation where maybe Daniel Jones gets to 225, 230, this year. We suddenly believe Sam Darnold can do it just because he's playing, with Kevin O'Connell and Justin Jefferson. Funny how none of that logic ever applies to another guy like Daniel Jones.
I'm going to go ahead and get my Steelers bring back to my Chiefs stack. Getting a second round wide receiver in round 18 in Roman Wilson. Even if I do maintain in the game last November, he got that ball ripped out by Denzel Burke and should not have been ruled a touchdown against the Ohio State University. I'm putting my pride aside for the goodness of my family's bank account, Dwayne. Not all heroes wear capes over here in the DraftKings Best Ball streets. So 2 more rounds, and honestly, I'm probably going to be double tapping tight end at this point. I think the running backs available are pretty iffy, and if I had gotten, one of Noah Fant,
you're gonna go 4 tight ends, huh? 4 tight ends.
It's 20 rounds, dude. I have Njoku and Conklin right now. I like the tight end.
I'm thinking of doing 4, but I didn't get Njoku either. I got Goddard.
Who was your first? Goddard? Yeah,
Goddard. Yeah.
Same tier, I feel like. Do you think Njoku's in a higher tier?
I think, yeah. Well, yeah, because he's just got the one dude to deal with and Amari, whereas Goddard, has got to deal with both A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith. So
That's true.
Goddard in
That
the
is
games where
true.
both of those dudes have been healthy has not been good. Of course, you could argue the Njoku games haven't been good with, whenever Deshaun Watson's been on the field. So
It's just been weird for Goddard. I mean, someone that we've seen the talent, very early on in his career. I mean, a guy for his second year in the NFL goes 607 yards and 5 touchdowns while being second fiddle to Zach Ertz. I mean, again, haven't been doubting what he's capable of, but really, ever since they traded Ertz, man, has the really solid, 2021 comes on strong. And these last 2 years, I mean, if you would have told him before he was going to be this top 5, even top 3 fantasy tight end, I wouldn't have been that surprised. But again, they add A.J. Brown to the situation. And then he's also just been dealing with some ill-timed injuries, hasn't quite, boomed in the manner I thought. So never say never, still just entering his 7th year. And so there goes Juwan Johnson. That would have been a lot cooler if he did not get drafted. I will say that. But I am feeling a certain tight end, Dwain, who in full PPR, I think is going to surprise some people early. What if Zach Ertz is the guy you need to win in fantasy football in 2024?
Oh, Zach Ertz is one of my favorite last round picks. I have no doubt that we're going to be end of week 1. We're on the Sunday night show. Zach Ertz had 9 targets. It's coming. I don't think it's going to last all year because I think eventually Senate probably does push him into a part-time role at a minimum, maybe just take the role outright. But I do think early in the season, it is going to be the Zach Ertz show, no doubt. All right. I'm going to go ahead and get one more tight end as well. And Theo Johnson, who's really already the starter for the Giants. It's a split, but he's the guy that's been getting the most work with the ones in the preseason games, and then he's also been getting work with the ones in practice. So rookie out of Penn State, just an athlete, never did a lot in college, but that is a recipe that we have actually seen work at the tight end position, unlike some other spots.
Yeah, man, I don't hate that pick at all. I mean, Penn State, they're freaking growing wildly good athletes there. It's amazing they can't ever win a big game with all those kind of NFL studs they have going on. But
I knew that really you were just using this chance as an Ohio State guy to take a jab at Penn State.
Hey, don't hate on me. You guys can hate on James Franklin. Point the finger at that man. So we'll see what happens, man. Maybe Drew Aller isn't, just Gen Z Christian Hackenberg like he looked like last year. But okay, I'm done. Nittany Lions faithful, apologies. But in all seriousness, Theo Johnson, man, running hot. Obviously, Darren Waller, had to drop the year's best music video and then retired. So yeah, we could see Daniel Bellinger and some of these other guys rotating. But just to have Dwain, a day 3 rookie, already getting the sort of first team reps that we're seeing out of Theo. I mean, look, we're betting on the profile, and I will say Daniel Bellinger is someone, that we don't feel nearly as good about the upside as Theo, and he's had some runs over these last 2 years when Waller was injured where he actually has been a near every down player. So again, I'm not saying Theo's going to get that, sort of role handed to him on the plate, but if we had to try to put a chip on a rookie tight end this year, could be Theo.
My last 2 tight ends, Greg Dulcich and Theo Johnson, are really the same thesis. Offenses that don't really have a number 2. They've got a number 1, and then everything else is up in the air. Both athletic profiles, both playing with coaches that have shown a history to try to figure things out for their tight end. So, it's, again, not something I do in a lot of drafts, but when Dallas Goedert's the first tight end that I take in a draft, then like this kind of strategy can make sense. So
I was hoping to get potential Packers tight end 1 or tight end 2, Tucker Kraft, to fall back to me, but he ended up going at the end of round 18. So as much as I was hoping to go with, 4 tight ends, Theo Johnson was another guy on my list. I think I'm going to hold tight with David Njoku, Tyler Conklin, and then Zach Ertz. Otherwise, looking at getting a wide receiver or running back. So we are in the deep depths of, draft hell at this point. You don't really realize how big the drop off is from 18 rounds to 20 until you actually get out there and do it. But yeah, names like Malik Washington, Jalen Naylor, Michael Mayer. Still might draft Michael Mayer, actually, after all I said, because he does seem like he's going to be a starter in that offense.
He's going to come out there and have like an 80% route rate with Brock Bowers. It's
finally going to
happen. We're finally going to see it. I took him in the deep end, expert draft last night where, wow, talk about, being at the 12 hole in that thing was brutal. Every time it got to me, I didn't like the quarterback tier, and you know how stubborn I can be. I was like, screw it, not taking a quarterback. I mean, I loaded up everything else. I said, you guys are going to kick my ass at quarterback. And I don't even care, but I'm going to beat you at running back. I'm going to beat you at receiver. I'm going to beat you at all three of those other flex spots. My quarterbacks are Bryce Young and Gardner Minshew. Pretty bad, huh?
Last pick, Dwain.
Do I want Elijah Moore or do I want Audric Estime?
Ooh, probably.
I'm going to go with
You do have
Moore.
Watson.
I'm going to go with Moore. I got Watson on the team. I like stacking it up. He's still technically the third wide receiver starting on the team.
Is he?
I'll just go with it. Yeah, I do think so.
He's over Cedric?
I think he is right now. I don't know that he's going to keep the job. Tillman definitely has me scared, but Elijah Moore is one of those guys that I haven't been clicking on at all. So it's like, all right, this is the one team where it like works. I needed a receiver. But Audric Estime would have been nice too. He would have been. I already have obviously Javonte, but I don't mind having a handcuff like that late. Oh, you went Mayer. Nice.
Yeah, I've dabbled with some last round Elijah / Cedric as well. Again, with the amount of Deshaun Watson. Don't blame me for doing that there at the end. So that will wrap up round 20. I'll quickly recap my squad. Ended up going with 2 quarterbacks, 6 running backs, 8 wide receivers, and yes, 1, 2, 3, 4 tight ends. That's what happens when you don't get one until David Njoku. And again, I was okay enough with some of the final round options. So started things off with the hero RB build, Bijan Robinson in round 1. Did not draft another running back until round 8. Why? Well, because we got an elite onesie in Patrick Mahomes and 5 good wide receivers in Deebo Samuel, Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy, Deontay Johnson, and Jackson Smith-Njigba. Finally got my tight end in David Njoku in round 9. And from there, again, gambled things a little bit going 2 wide receivers here, Rashid Shaheed and Jerry Jeudy. Luckily got Trey Benson to fall back to me and Ty Chandler after that. Geno Smith, Antonio Gibson, Tyler Conklin, Tank Bigsby, Roman Wilson, Zach Ertz, and Michael Mayer to end things out. So as Dwain kind of likes to do after drafts, it's a smart thing. Looking back and just trying to be critical of the decision points, I probably didn't need to go both Rashid Shaheed and Jerry Jeudy as much as I do believe in Chase Brown. There is a scenario where he is not going to have the sort of, featured role, very usable weekly RB2 role that we're hoping for. So if I had maybe gone just Jeudy or just Shaheed and then grab one of, Blake Corum or Rico Dowdle or even, a Gus Edwards at that point, maybe feeling a little bit better about the squad. But all in all, I think we got a contender over here. So Dwain, you were 2 picks behind me. Talk through how you're feeling and what the squad looks like.
Yeah, I feel good. 2 quarterback build with 6 running backs, 8 wide receivers, and 4 tight ends. So don't have many 4 tight end builds, but whenever you don't take one until Dallas Goedert, this is what happens. But started off the draft with Jamar Chase, who fell to pick 8. We are in a full PPR. You got to start 3 wide receivers. So really like getting that with the first pick. We'll see what happens with the contract holdout or hold in or whatever you want to call it. The chance that he might not play in week 1, then come back with Jahmyr Gibbs. So that's a pretty unique pairing. And I like to try to do things like this based on news cycles to get a pair of players. And Gibbs really shouldn't be falling. He's just still got the questionable tag sitting next to him, even though we know that it's looking pretty good right now. Come back with Metcalf, a player I've been trying to get more of. Then I get Tank Dell, got Amari Cooper, add on Joe Burrow to go with Jamar Chase for my stack. Coming back, got Christian Watson. So feeling really good about the wide receivers. I'm starting 3 of those and I'm flexing 1 of them. And I've got my quarterback, but I don't have an elite tight end. So I'm going to I know at that point, like I'm going to have to throw multiple darts at the tight end, and I don't have a running back too. So that's really where I decided to focus the rest of the way, go with Javonte Williams, come back with Zach Moss, who is on the Bengals. Javonte is the week 17 bring back stack if you're looking for that. And then I got Jonathan Brooks, who won't be playing for the first 4 games of the year, but the kind of play that maybe late in the season, Ian, it'd be just what I was looking for. Then I get Dallas Goedert, come back again with another high upside running back, and Jalen Wright. Auto picked Deshaun Watson when I told Ian I wasn't going to because I'm not a true friend and I'm a liar. And then I come back with Luke Musgrave because I need to add tight end depth. And that goes along with what I've got with Christian Watson. I didn't end up with any Vikings on the team. Like I looked for a way to make it happen. I thought about Ty Chandler at one point, but that didn't work out. Come back with Jalen McMillan. And this is after I had laid off of wide receivers for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 picks. And so McMillan's just a rookie. I wanted to add some youth to my team because again, 3 starting wide receivers, full PPR. Come back with Tyrone Tracy, Ian, to finish out the running back room. And then I get my guy that Ian did let me draft him the other night, but I got Andre Yoshivas, and he's a stack with who? With Joe Burrow. So I've got Joe Burrow plus Zach Moss plus Jamar Chase in that Cincinnati stack. And then I come back with Dulcich. So now Dulcich plus Javonte Williams in that week 17 game. If that's a dud, I'm not winning anything, even if this team gets through. But if it goes nuts, that could be really good. And then finish off the draft with Theo Johnson, just another athletic tight end without a lot of target competition. And that was my weakest position. And then add Elijah Moore with my final pick, because I drafted Deshaun Watson, auto-drafted Deshaun Watson. So Watson is stacked with Amari Cooper and Elijah Moore. And I got the bring back on that one for Jalen Wright, the running back one for the Miami Dolphins in week 17. Hartitz.
All the correlation, Dwayne. Got to feel good about that. So want to thank DraftKings again for being one of our lovely sponsors. We've had a joy drafting on their platform all off season long, and I'm sure many to come here again in 2025 and beyond. And of course, we'll be on the Sportsbook and DFS contest during the season. But again, guys, code FantasyLife, bet $5, get $250 back in bonus bets, and that 1 month free of NFL Plus Premium. Pretty freaking cool. But now, guess what? We're on the week 1. Let's go. We'll see you guys on Tuesday, 9 a.m. Eastern here on the Fantasy Life Show, starting to break down actual matchups. What a time to be alive. So for Dwayne, for producer Matt, for producer Kelsey, I'm Ian. Thanks again for tuning to the Fantasy Life Show. And until next time, take care, everybody.